Welcome to Here Comes the Boom, a KSR and KSR Plus recruiting podcast. This is your go-to place for all Kentucky basketball recruiting. We missed last week. We're back again, and we've got a big week of Kentucky basketball recruiting with an upcoming commitment, some big news about a five-star, and maybe a new name in the 2025 class for Kentucky basketball. Before we get into it, be sure to go and subscribe to KSR Plus. We've got a great offer right now. It's $1 for 7 days and then 50% off the first year. So it's $1. Just go and try it, and I'm sure you're going to love it and you're going to stick around. So be sure to go over to KSR Plus because we're providing updates on all these recruits by the hour, basically, at this point. So go do that. But let's get into it, talking about some of these top recruits. The most notable one right now is Acaden Lewis, who's set to make his decision on Saturday, 2 p.m. Eastern time. He's down to Kentucky, UConn, and Duke. I feel very good about where Kentucky stands in this recruitment. I've placed an RPM over on On3. There's really not much else to say about where things stand in the recruitment. I think that Kentucky's just done a tremendous job throughout. They've shown interest in him since the late spring, early summer. They got him on an unofficial visit in the early summer. That's when they extended an offer. There were some questions on Acaden's side about how interested Kentucky would be if Jasper ended up committing. But after Jasper committed, the whole staff went to meet with him at home in DC, and they've re-expressed their interest. They said that we're still going after you. We still want you in this 2025 class. They got him on an official visit for Big Blue Madness. And by all accounts, they've done just a great job in securing this commitment if he is to choose Kentucky on Saturday. There's really not much else to say. I feel good about where Kentucky stands. And that kind of leads into another recruit, five-star Caleb Wilson, who Acaden has made it known he wants to play with Caleb. Caleb has made it known that he wants to play with Acaden. The two have talked about it a lot on social media. They've talked about it in interviews. Caleb is I believe 6'8", 6'9" power forward. Acaden is obviously a point guard, combo guard, so they can play well alongside each other. Caleb seems to be Kentucky's top remaining priority in this class. He's set to visit Arkansas this weekend for an official visit. I expect that to be his last visit. There was some talk about maybe another UNC visit, but I don't think that's going to happen. He took his official visit to Kentucky in September. He's recently visited Georgia Tech, UCF. The three schools I'm hearing the most about are Kentucky, Arkansas, and UNC. And the more I talk to people, the more it sounds like this is really going to be an Arkansas-Kentucky battle, potentially the first Mark Pope, John Calipari recruiting battle since each of them took their new respective jobs. So I still feel good about where Kentucky stands with Caleb Wilson. I've put in an RPM for him. That was at 50% confidence, so not quite as high as my normal 60%, the standard industry percentage, but I feel very good about where Kentucky stands. And after this upcoming visit, I think that Caleb is probably going to go into decision-making mode, and we could see a decision potentially before the early signing period. When I talked to him in September, he said maybe that November, December timeframe, and the early signing period's coming up, so it might come a little after that, but be on the lookout right around signing day for a Caleb Wilson decision. Those are the two big names that have been on Kentucky's radar for a long time, but a new name has popped up. Samis Calderon out of Overtime Elite. Mark Pope was down in Atlanta checking out 2025 point guard commit Jasper Johnson, a couple 2026 targets, and he stumbled upon Samis Calderon, who really impressed him, has been rising up the rankings. He isn't ranked by On3 yet, but he's ranked as a 4-star by 24/7 Sports. There's a lot of schools that have started to ramp up their interest lately. I know he's recently visited Tennessee and Michigan, I want to say. I think he took an official visit to Auburn as well. He's got a Kansas official visit early next week. And then he's going to be visiting Kentucky for an official visit. That date hasn't been announced yet, but I would expect that to be potentially next weekend, maybe the weekend after that. I think that he's moving quick with his recruitment. Kentucky is moving quick in going after him. I'm not sure. I don't think I'd put Kentucky as a leader right now. I think that Auburn and Kansas are the two schools that are probably positioned the best. I'm hearing them the most, but Kentucky's now getting involved, and it's just another 2025 name to watch out for. Assuming that Acaden Lewis and Caleb Wilson, assuming that Kentucky can get those two commits, then I don't expect Chris Sinak or Michael Brown to remain on the radar. If Caleb Wilson goes elsewhere, then I think Kentucky ramps things up with Chris Sinak. So outside of the names that we just talked about, Calderon is really the only other name in consideration in this 2025 class. So keep an eye out for him. Keep an eye out. We'll have his official visit date out on KSR Plus as soon as we get the information, as soon as that's confirmed. So a new name, something to watch for, but Caleb Wilson and Acaden Lewis still continue to be the two names that I'm hearing the most about. Now let's get some insight from On3 national basketball analyst Joe Tipton to talk about these recruitments and where he sees things standing. Chat a second about our good friend Andy Ludicky and My Perfect Franchise. Are you a displaced corporate executive or wanting to put your career in your own hands? Or are you an experienced entrepreneur wanting to diversify? Well, Andy Ludicky and MyPerfectFranchise.net can help. Andy is a huge college sports fan and franchise veteran, having owned multiple franchises and businesses. Using his expertise, he helps others find their American dream through a very thorough consultation and evaluation process. Call Andy, put your life and career in your own hands. Best of all, his services are 100% free to you, so what do you have to lose? Find your perfect franchise at myperfectfranchise.net. And to talk about two of Kentucky's biggest targets left on the board, Acaden Lewis and Caleb Wilson. Joe, how you doing today? Thank you for joining me.
I'm good, Jacob. Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
Where's your costume?
I don't have one, but my dog's got he's in a cone over here, so that's his costume. But let's talk about Acaden Lewis. He's announcing his decision on Saturday with On3. He'll be announcing that with you. Where do you think Kentucky stands in all of this, and how do you think Kentucky has done in his recruitment?
Yeah, I'm sure you've talked about Acaden in depth on this show and in some of the stories you wrote, but he really kind of blew up this summer playing with Team Durant. I think prior to the spring, he was ranked kind of like a top 90, top 100 recruit. Now he's all the way into the top 30 in the industry ranking at On3. Basically got recruitment from every blue blood, now cut his list to Kentucky, UConn, and Duke. The thing that stands out to me most about Kentucky is they have recruited a few other guards, but I think Kentucky's made Acaden more of a priority than other schools. Of course, Kentucky already has Jasper Johnson committed. I think Jasper's more of a two, more of a shooting guard, Acaden obviously being a point guard. Duke already has a point guard committed in Caden Boozer. UConn already has two other guards coming in as well. So Kentucky has positioned themselves quite well heading into Acaden's commitment date.
And we've seen so much talk on social media and between Acaden Lewis and another Kentucky target, Caleb Wilson. Yesterday, I think you wrote on the KS board and over on On3 that you see Kentucky as potentially being the front runner for Caleb Wilson. So he's got this Arkansas visit coming up. Where do you think things stand there?
Yeah, the Arkansas visit is very interesting to me because I think I've said in the past there was a lot of smoke around Arkansas for Caleb Wilson right around Peach Jam. It sort of died off as he went on a few other visits, namely Kentucky. He's also been to Ohio State, Tennessee, even UCF. So this visit to Arkansas, I think, is extremely pivotal and important for John Calipari because this could very likely turn into kind of one of our first battles that we've seen between Cal and, of course, his old school in Kentucky, now Pope. So I'm paying very close attention as he goes into this Arkansas visit. I would say right now, prior to him being on campus in Fayetteville, Caleb Wilson He's a favorite to go to Kentucky. There's a little bit of buzz around North Carolina, but a lot of it is being carried by Kentucky. So only time will tell. It sounds like this might be his final visit to Arkansas, and then hopefully make a decision soon after.
Well, Joe, those are the two names that we're watching. We'll be paying attention to you over on On3, over on X and Instagram, everywhere for some commitment edits coming up soon. Thanks for joining us today. We're excited to have you back soon.
Absolutely, Jacob. Always a pleasure.
All right, let's get into the final thought. My final thought is Caleb Wilson, things are ramping up and things could happen quicker than previously expected. I think that Kentucky's in a really good spot to close on a commitment. I think that this Arkansas visit, this upcoming weekend, will be very crucial to see where things stand. I think that Arkansas has the chance to make up significant ground on this visit, but if they don't, Kentucky's in a really good spot. Either way, I think a commitment is going to come soon, so be on the lookout for that. Be sure to subscribe to KSR Plus because we're going to have information constantly on these recruitments, giving you up-to-date information. So be sure to take advantage of our $1 for 7 days deal, our 50% off annual memberships deal, and go and subscribe. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you again soon.